Today we will discuss leprosy. Leprosy is a very ancient disease, right? It you can see its reference in old text from India, from Vedic times, in Sushruta Samhita also. Hippocrates also mentioned it. But this disease, though the person who was affected from this disease was socially outcast in earlier days because they would develop facial deformities and their limbs would slow off. So these people were separated from the civilized community and were forced to live outside a normal group area, and it was believed that it's a curse from God. So there were some misunderstandings related to this disease that led people socially outcast the people who were affected by this. But now with scientific development and understanding of the causative organism, we are able to treat it and diagnose it at the earlier stages so that these complications do not occur, right? So who do we owe this to? This person, it's a Norwegian scientist who who discovered the lepra bacilli, right? And though it was one of the first bacilli which was studied, till today there is no proper understanding about this disease because we cannot grow it into the lab. In vitro, it cannot be grown. So it also fails to apply the Koch's postulates, right? This is one exception to the Koch's postulate. But it is known now that the causative organism for leprosy is mycobacterium. How do we diagnose it in the laboratory? What are we performing? Which stain? Ziehl-Neelsen stain we are performing. It requires modified acid fasting, which is 5%. What is 20% which acid? What is Zeden stain? What is the first stain that we use for Zeden stain? Carbol fish stain. Then how do you decolorize it with? Why? Huh? Loudly. 20% H2SO4. For Mycobacterium leprae, will require 5% H2SO4. Right? So then there was this scientist, Shefford, who multiplied this lepra bacilli in food pad of mice, which was kept at low temperature. So since it has the affinity to grow at the low temperatures, it mainly attacks the low temperature marks on your body, low temperature sites on your body. For example, skin, nerves, upper respiratory tract, eyes and testes. So testes will give you direct sign that it grows in the lower temperatures in the body. It is a chronic granulomatous disease. What is the incubation period? Incubation period is very long. And how does the incubation period become long? Because this bacilli takes generation time about 20 days, right? In contrast to E. coli, how much time does E. coli take for generation? 20 minutes, right? It's easy to remember this way, that's why you're remembering 20 minutes for E. coli, 20 hours for Mycobacterium tuberculosis and 20 days for Mycobacterium leprae. What do we mean by generation time? One bacteria becoming two by binary fission, okay? It is capable of affecting any tissue or organ causing bony deformities and disfigurement. Can you see it? Can you suspect that this is a granulomatous lesion growing on the ear of a person? We discussed that incubation period longs from about 5 to 7 years and it can vary from 2 to 40 years. So once the person gets lepra bacilli, it can take these many years for the symptoms to grow. Where is it attributed? To the longer generation time. Usually it is considered 12 to 13 days, but I told you so that you remember, and from the MCQ point of view, for E. coli it's 20, for MTB it's 20 hours, and for MTB it's about 12 to 13 days, that is 20 days you can remember, okay. Lepromatous cases, longer incubation period, that we'll see further. Classification of leprosy. Leprosy clinically classified for the treatment into two things that you will remember, but this classification is based on immunological and genetic and the course of disease. So there are three kinds of classification that has happened over time. Just remember that lepromatous leprosy is the severe form of disease, and tuberculoid leprosy is a contained form of disease. It means in tuberculoid leprosy, your cell-mediated immunity is fighting. It is fighting and it is trying to contain the disease. That's why you will find less number of lepra bacilli in such cases. And in lepromatous leprosy, there will be disfigurement, there will be globies of lepra bacilli you will find in the samples, slit skin smear samples. Rest others are borderline, as the name suggests. Okay, they can either develop to this or they can either be contained. Then over the time, there were again Madrid classification that came in 1953. Lepromatous tuberculoid remains the same. Borderline and indeterminate came in action. And then there is Indian classification. In Indian classification, we have this pure neuritic type where you see no lesions but only nerves are involved. Okay? This is classification of leprosy. Then clinical classification that you will use for the treatment course of the patient, which is adapted by NLEP. What is NLEP? National Leprosy Elimination Program. Okay, India was able to eliminate leprosy. By elimination, we mean that less than 1 case per 10,000 population. Okay, less than 1 case per 10,000 population is elimination for India. We achieved this target in 2005. Okay. And it is still running. Like, what is the aim? To find out any unknown cases of leprosy and to treat them. Okay. So, based on clinical classification, we have two kinds of cases, that is paucibacillary. Pauci means less. Paucibacillary and multibacillary. In paucibacillary, you will see that there are about up to 5 skin lesions. Up to 5 skin lesions, no nerve involvement, and slit skin smear is negative for lepra bacilli. What is slit skin smear? You are taking the specimen, tissue specimen from the affected parts from the lesion and you process it into the laboratory. You see it under the microscope at oil immersion field and check for the lepra bacilli. You stain it with Zn stain. Okay. So this was paucibacillary. What is the treatment of paucibacillary? We give the 3 drugs that we'll study further for 6 months. And in case of multibacillary, where there are more than 5 skin lesions, there is neuritis, nerve involvement is there, and slit skin smear is positive for lepra bacilli. This is multibacillary. Okay, the treatment remains 12 months. Now, what is the difference between the two ends? I told you lepromatous leprosy is severe thing. It's a very advanced stage of disease, and tuberculoid leprosy is a contained stage of disease. It means your body is fighting with the bacilli and it has a very good cell-mediated immunity. So, you can see in tuberculoid leprosy there is paucibacillary load. Okay. And in multibacillary and in lepromatous leprosy, there is multibacillary load. What is bacteriological index? We often take about 6 specimens from the tissues from different body parts. So whenever you take this and check it under the microscope, based on the grading, when you divide it with the smears you have checked, you get the bacteriological index. That bacteriological index is about 4 to 6 plus in Lepromatous leprosy. You just remember, it's very high. Okay? And in tuberculoid, it could be up to 1. Then skin lesions. Since tuberculoid is contained, you can see that there is hypopigmented annular macules with central clearing. The central clearing will give you a very good idea of how the tuberculoid leprosy looks. This is central clearing. Okay? And this is Lepromatous leprosy. You can see this papules over the face. The face is known as leonine face. Okay? Then there will be eyebrow alopecia, the loss of hair on the eyebrows. Okay? It's a very clear sign that the person is lepromatous. Okay? You can see multiple nodules also on that picture. Then, what is the nervous lesion? It appears late hyposthesia sign in lepromatous. But in tuberculoid, you will see that there is early anesthetic skin lesion. If you ask the patient, there will be no sensation over that part. It means that nerve is affected, right? CMI, I told you it is low in Lepromatous leprosy. In tuberculoid, it is normal. Lepramine test, that tells you that about the CMI. So lepramine test will be negative here. What does it indicate? It indicates a good immunity, good CMI. So this will be negative in case of Lepromatous leprosy and positive in case of tuberculoid leprosy. Humoral immunities exaggerate in this case. It is normal here. Okay. Macrophages and Langerhans giant cell that indicate about the granuloma. In this case, you will see foamy type, lipid-laden macrophages. It means it's not a good granuloma. Right? The macrophages are not able to contain the bacilli. But in case of tuberculoid, you will see epithelioids type containing the bacilli in one granule. So that will be seen in this good granuloma, it will be seen in tuberculoid leprosy. Okay, this is the difference between tuberculoid and Lepromatous leprosy. About the 3 categories that we discussed first in the classification, I told you pure neurotic type has no skin lesions. It only involves nerves, right? Indeterminate type, it had 1 or 2 hypopigmented macule, definite sensory impairment, but there will be no bacteriology positive in the microscopy. Okay? And borderline we discussed, it may shift from tuberculoid to Lepromatous. What do you have to remember here? Pure neuritics, no skin lesions, indeterminate, no bacterium. Rest other remains the same. It's a natural immunity that is there in the humans. So it is known that humans have high immunity towards this lepra bacilli, that the people who come in contact with the leprosy cases even do not develop this disease very often. Like about only 5% of the cases will be able to contract this disease. So we have a very high immunity towards leprosy as a human. So only those who have weak immunity might fall prey to the leprosy bacilli. Okay? Cell-mediated immunity plays a very vital role. We discussed that the people with low CMI will develop Lepromatous type and people with high CMI will develop tuberculoid type lesions. Though antibodies, they play a minor role in disease controlling, but I told you there was an exaggerated response in Lepromatous leprosy. And this is the reason. Exaggerated Th2 response releases cytokines that cause polyclonal B cell activation, and in response you will get exaggerated antibodies. What are the complications of leprosy? Now you can see we discussed deformities. You also saw the picture in the beginning that most commonly they are causing face deformities. That is the known complication. But other than this, when there is exaggerated immune response in the existing lesions on the skin, what do we call that? We call that lepra reactions. What are the two kinds of lepra reactions? I'll tell you. The deformities here, you can see it may arise due to nerve injury. You will see muscle weakness, paralysis is there because of nerve. This also will lead to atrophy of the muscles because you are not using those muscles. Then loss of eyebrow alopecia we discussed, and infection or injury in the skin lesions that were already there. Since you are not able to feel anything, usually person develop painless ulcers also. Okay. What are the common deformities? Leonine facies, sagging face, loss of eyebrow, eyelashes, saddle nose, corneal opacity and ulcers. In hands you will see claw hands or wrist drop. In the feet you can see foot drop, clawing of toes, inversion of foot. Can you see here this corneal opacity, saddle nose in both the cases, this loss of fingers, foot drop also seen, this is wrist drop. Can you see the face? This face structure is given the name leonine facies. What is leonine? Okay, now we discussed that other than deformities, when there is reaction in the existing lesions, existing leprosy lesions on the skin, there are about two type of reactions. First one is lepra reaction type 1 and type 2. What is this first type of reaction? Type 4, delayed hypersensitivity reaction. So can you see here, these are the existing lesions and in that the reaction has occurred, in that the inflammation has occurred. But in type 2 case, which is type 3 and immune complex mediated, what does it mean? It means that this immune complex can go and settle on other tissues. So you will see other manifestations in these cases. For example, joint pain, right? And these lesions, they are newly formed lesions. So just remember here, this is existing lesion in which the inflammation has occurred. This is type 4, delayed hypersensitivity. And this is immune complex mediated, type 3 immune complex mediated hypersensitivity. Okay? Easy to remember, type 1 lepra reaction, type 4 delayed hypersensitivity, type 2 lepra reaction, type 3 immune complex mediated hypersensitivity. Where can you see lepra reaction type 1? In borderline leprosy. Rest, lepra reaction type 2, which is severe, it will be seen in lepromatous variety. What is the lepromatous variety? Borderline variety, which can either convert to lepromatous or tuberculoid or lepromatous itself. Okay. What can you see here? Inflammation of previous lesions, new skin lesions and neuritis. This is the manifestation of type 1 reaction. And here the crops of painful erythematous papules, which we also call erythema nodosum leprosum. This is the name for type 2 lepra reaction. Okay. So these are painful erythematous papules that occur after the person has been infected with lepra bacilli, and along the course of disease you develop this. Erythema nodosum leprosum. Erythema nodosum leprosum. We call this erythema nodosum leprosum. This we already discussed. It occurs before treatment. This reaction occurs before treatment, but after you have already acquired the bacilli, both cases. Okay? And this occurs usually following the start of chemotherapy. What does this mean? The bacteria or the bacilli is fighting for its life. It's causing haywire infection in the body. Okay. Here we discussed T helper response. You have to know that in case of delayed hypersensitivity, Th1 predominates. It leads to interferon gamma, interleukin 2 cytokine secretion, and here Th2 predominates. It leads to interleukin 6 and 8 and TNF alpha. This is the mediation in immune reactions. Then other organs will be involved in eyes, testes and kidneys are affected because these immune complexes are traveling to these parts of the organs and depositing there. So they are affecting all other organs also, because this immune complex is located where? In type 3 sensitivity. How is it going there? Through blood, right? They are going and depositing in these organs, and that's why their other organs they are getting affected. What is the treatment in both the cases? You can give glucocorticoids. In case of lepra reaction type 2, thalidomide has been seen giving a good response, but it is not used much because this drug is harmful for the fetus. Okay? Teratogenic drug. What is the source of infection? Multibacillary people. The people who are affected with multibacillary leprosy, they are most important sources of infection. Asymptomatic cases have a role in transmission, though they are themselves not affected, but they can transmit the disease. Tuberculoid leprosy do not transmit the infection efficiently because they are paucibacillary. Okay. What is the mode of transmission? Nasal droplet infection. The aerosols that contain M. leprae. It's the most common mode. Nasal secretion from the lepromatous leprosy patient can give you leprosy if the abraded skin comes in contact with those nasal secretion, depending on, of course, your immunity. Okay. What else is there? Contact transmission, direct contact from person to person, or indirect contact with infected soil, fomite, cloth and linens, or direct dermal inoculation during tattooing. Okay, tattooing. Any viral infection that you can acquire through tattooing. But communicability is low for leprosy. It is not highly communicable as it was considered before. Intimate and prolonged contact is necessary for the transmission. That is why in early days there were leprosy centers where all leprosy patients would reside. Right? They would leave their families and go away and live in a settlement where there are all leprosy patients living. Okay. What are the environmental factors that help in the propagation of this bacteria? Rural areas, moist soil, humidity and overcrowding. Basically unhygienic conditions. In 1992, WHO launched a campaign to eliminate leprosy as a public health problem by the year 2000. What was the goal? To reduce one case per 10,000 population. India achieved this goal by December 2005. Okay, now there is Global Leprosy Strategy that was launched in 2016 that aims at reducing disability among the children by 2020. Disability because of deformities caused by lepra bacilli in case of leprosy. Now, this disease is confined to developing nations such as Asia, Africa, Pacific and Latin America. As of 31st March 2018, these many cases were on record in India, but about 5 states have reported the prevalence above elimination cutoff, more than 1 per 1,000 cases. Why is it happening? Because there were no common census about the cases that were still there, that were existing in those states. So now when the hidden cases are coming up, the prevalence is also going up. What is the laboratory diagnosis? You will take 6 samples from forehead, cheek, chin and buttock. These are 4 from the skin, 1 from earlobe and nasal mucosa from nasal blow or scraping. What are the 6 samples you are taking? You are taking samples from the skin, from forehead, cheek, chin, 3 from the face, 1 from buttock, 1 from the earlobe and 1 from the nasal mucosa. What will you make slit skin smear. Slit skin smear, then you stain it with 5% sulfuric acid for decolorization. Under oil immersion field, you will see this bacilli, sometimes in cigar-like bundles, or lepra cells. We saw what is lepra cells or foamy cells. These are the epiculoid. These are the macrophages, swollen macrophages. Now, when you have to see live bacilli will be uniformly stained with parallel sides and round ends, and length is about 5 times its width. So, whenever you are seeing an intact long bacilli, it means it's a live bacilli. And when you see that there is fragmentation, broken, you might think that, oh, it's not an intact bacilli. That is a dead bacilli, because it is also less uniformly stained. It have fragmented and granular appearance. Why does this happen? Because patient might be on the treatment, and to see the treatment, the prognosis, to understand the response, we also perform slit skin smear, and we call it morphological index. So in morphological index, okay, let's first see the grading of the smear. If you see 1 to 10 bacilli in 100 oil immersion field, how many oil immersion fields you are screening? About 100 oil immersion fields you are screening. And in that, collectively, you see about only 1 to 10 bacilli. What will you see? What will you see in 1+ grading smear? Tell, answer. You will see about 1 to 10 bacilli in 100 oil immersion field, that is 1+ grading. Okay. Remember I told you about bacteriological index. We are going to use this grading there. Okay. And if you see 1 to 10 bacilli in 10 oil immersion field, that is 2+. 1 to 10 bacilli per oil immersion field. 1 oil immersion field, 1 to 10 bacilli, that is 3+. About 10 to 100 bacilli per oil immersion field, 4+. 100 to 1000 bacilli per oil immersion field, that is 5+. And about more than 1000 bacilli or bacilli in clumps and globi in each oil immersion field, that is 6+. This is the grading that we use to give slit skin smear diagnosis for lepra bacilli. Now you tell me, what is this? Which grading? This is 1 oil immersion field. Okay. Can you see globi? These are all bacteria attached together. Can you see? Can you see this globi? This globi, this globi, this globi. So this is 6+. Okay. Okay, understood? What is the grading here? 6+. Now, what is the bacteriological index? The total number of bacilli, live and dead, per oil immersion field. How will you count it? Through grading. You will take this grading and you will divide it with the number of smears you have checked. If you check, sometimes you check only 3 location smears, sometimes you check only 3 smears. So what will be the, if the one of the smears is 1+, then 2+, then 3+. So 6 divided by 3. What is it? 2. That is the bacteriological index for that particular case. Okay. What is morphological index? It is the percentage of uniformly stained bacilli out of total number of bacilli counted. So if it is uniformly stained bacilli, what does it mean? The bacilli is live. If it is fragmented, it means the bacilli are dying, segmented, it's a dead bacilli. Okay, but when it's uniformly stained parallel bacilli, you will see that these bacilli are live. MI is the better marker to monitor the treatment response. So during the course of treatment, if you send samples to us and if you see that this person had about 50% live uniformly stained bacilli. What does it mean? 50% bacilli are still alive. And the next time when you send the sample, and if we write that 30% bacilli are uniformly stained, morphological index is 30%, it means the treatment is giving the person is giving good response to the treatment, right? The bacilli are dying. Okay? Solid fragmented granular rod percentage gives better picture of bacterial morphology and more sensitive indicator of monitoring treatment. In morphological index, what we are giving? We are giving how many percentage of live bacilli are there. In this, solid fragmented granular means dead bacilli. In here, we are giving how many dead bacilli are there. What is the percentage that you feel that the fragmented bacilli are appearing in the given smear? Okay, these are the three indexes that we use in the leprosy diagnosis. It is not cultivable in artificial culture media or any other tissue culture. So, what do you use? You use the foot pad of mice, keep it at 20 degree for about 6 to 9 months. This is how you grow this bacilli. And there is 9-banded armadillo that also you can use for the cultivation of lepra bacilli. What is the disadvantages? Long time, 6 to 9 months, and there has been some ethical issues regarding the usage of animal for lepra cultivation. But this is 10 times more sensitive than microscopy, detects the drug resistance, evaluation of potency of the drugs. You can use these drugs on the animal, and it also detects the viability of the bacilli. Then antibody detection we can do irrespective of duration and stage of the disease. You can detect these antibodies. You can also use them to identify subclinical cases. What are subclinical cases? Presence of bacteria is there but no clinical symptoms. Or you can use ELISA detecting IgM antibodies to phenolic glycolipid antigen that is present on this bacterium. About 95% of patients with untreated lepromatous leprosy and titer decreases with the effective therapy. It means you can also use this for similarly, same as the morphological index, you can also use this thing for treatment response, to check treatment response. Then there is something called as lepramine test that we discussed initially. What is the procedure? You inject intradermally to the forearm this lepramine antigen, and you take the readings at 2 occasions. What are these 2 occasions? At about 48 hours, when there is induration of about more than 10 millimeters, it corresponds to the delayed type hypersensitivity reaction, okay, and indicates the past exposure to lepra bacilli. So at 2 days, you are taking this count. What are you doing first? You are injecting the person with antigen. Then you are taking the reading. If there is induration of about more than 10 millimeters, you say that this person was having a past exposure to this bacilli. At 21 days, if still there is a nodule of more than 5 millimeter and which subsequently ulcerate, it means patient CMI is intact. And if it comes negative, you can say that the absence of CMI is there and there is a chance of reinfection. Okay. What are the recommended drugs in this case? Dapsone, rifampicin and clofazimine. Alternate drugs that you can use: minocycline, clarithromycin, ethionamide and ofloxacin. You have to remember these 3 drugs because they are used. Monotherapy is not used for this case because there is a chance of resistance and we don't want that. So we are using combination therapy. Combination therapy with dapsone, rifampicin and clofazimine. WHO regimen, 3-drug regimen we are following in India. Dapsone 100 milligram daily, it is self-administered. Okay, dapsone 100 milligram. Rifampicin 600 milligram once a month under supervision. you have to give this drug under supervision once a month. And clofazimine, once a month under supervision, 300 milligrams followed by 50 milligrams daily self-administered. So what you are giving daily? 100 milligram dapsone you are giving daily, and clofazimine you are giving 50 milligrams daily. 100 milligrams you are giving once a month, and clofazimine at the start of the treatment you are giving clofazimine once a month. Okay. Rifampicin you can also use prophylactically for the contact cases, the people who are living with leprosy. What is the duration of treatment? Initially we discussed two clinical types of leprosy are there, paucibacillary and multibacillary. So in paucibacillary you will give 6 months, in multibacillary you will give this treatment for 12 months. Okay. Clofazimine how much? 300 milligram once a month, 50 milligram once per day, every day. Dapsone 100 milligrams every day. Rifampicin 600 milligrams, 600 milligrams once a month under supervision. Follow-up, how will you do? Annually for 2 years for paucibacillary leprosy and for 5 years for multibacillary, because multibacillary has a chance of producing lepra reactions and deformities. What is the prevention? To find the active cases, effective treatment of these cases. BCG vaccine has been not efficacious so far. Killed leprosy vaccine that was developed in India using this strain, that is there. Chemoprophylactically, you can give dapsone to high-risk household contacts of tuberculoid patients. Also rifampicin you can give. And hospitalization. Nowadays, there is no need for isolation because it requires a long, prolonged, intimate contact, and the contagiousness is very low, though it was considered a very highly contagious disease in the past, but now it is not recommended.